Welcome everybody. Happy New Year. Hope everybody's doing well this morning, and we're so glad you found us this morning in this virtual realm. Just wanted to welcome you to our monthly Catalyst gathering of Modesto area leaders and influencers. And if you're joining us on Facebook Live, we want to encourage you to interact with us on the chat. We hope everybody had a great holiday season. I know the celebrations this year were not what we're used to, but we're all praying together for a much better 2021. Okay, so some of you probably have noticed that the topic we've announced wasn't what we announced last month at our last gathering. Early December, the city manager's office reached out to us and asked for an opportunity to share with us a new program they rolled out at the beginning of the year. So this morning, we would like to welcome a panel of Modesto city leaders to share with us. The first one will be Joe Lopez. Joe Lopez serves as Modesto city manager. He has served in the city in various leadership roles since 2012 and as city manager since May of 2018. Next is Deputy City Manager Kalua Barnes. She works with leaders throughout this county to address homelessness. Before January 2019, she worked in Santa Rosa, where she also worked on issues of homelessness. Now we have Brandon Gillespie. He's our interim chief of police. He has served Modesto Police Department for the last 19 years. Jessica Narayan is our community development manager, and she serves federal funding. She manages, federal funding allocated to the city to assist with affordable housing and homelessness. And finally, we have Greg Pensinger. He's the program director of Downtown Streets team. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions that you would like them to try to address at the end of the presentation, please type those in the chat box, and we'll have a few minutes at the end to address any questions, and hopefully we'll have a chance to get to each person's question. So would you welcome with me this great team as they share with us an innovative approach to helping those in our community who are struggling to get out of homelessness. Would you welcome the panel with me?
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Joe Lopez. I'm the city manager for the City of Modesto. Thank you for having us here today, and I hope everyone's had a great start to the new year. 2020 is not going to be that hard to beat, so hopefully we can start off 21 on the right foot, even though the actions of yesterday were pretty disappointing, to say the least. So hopefully we can come together as a nation and be better than what we all saw and witnessed yesterday. And now on to the topic of homelessness. Is something that's been going on in our community for a long time, and we've been working diligently as a city in partnership with the county to try and address some of these solutions. So 567,000 people across the nation, 152,000 in California, 222,200 in the county, and 1,600 in the city of Modesto. These are the number of people experiencing homelessness. These are our friends, our neighbors, and perhaps our relatives who may be suffering from mental illness, a physical disability, an addiction, or may simply be a victim of some sort of tragedy. Traditionally, our annual point in time count would be held in the next couple of weeks to count the number of people experiencing homelessness in our community for 2021. However, in order to mitigate the effects of COVID-19, HUD is granting exceptions to utilize the homeless count of those that are currently in our homeless management information system. This is where we collect all of the information as a requirement of HUD. Over the course of the last few years, the number has increased by about 15% this year, and this year is likely also to show the same trajectory, especially due to the ongoing impacts of COVID-19. Our solution to help reverse this trajectory is comprehensive, but I want to acknowledge that this is not a one-size-fits-all solution because each person is unique. Their background and their needs are different from one another. One person may need support with physical disability. Another may need support for mental illness, while another may need simple financial help to sustain their own household. And we have to acknowledge that some people simply do not want our help and may never accept it because this is a lifestyle that they choose. That's not who we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about those that are in need and ready for our help. Historically, strategies to address homelessness have focused primarily on housing and sheltering, and not enough on the root causes of why a person became homeless to begin with. And without a sufficient focus on sustainable employment to help sustain the housing that they so desperately desire. We've titled our solution Camp to Home to illustrate a person's path to self-sufficiency. The team will be reviewing the details more closely, so I'll only mention what the strategies are, and we're addressing them on 5 fronts. Expanding our ability to individuals experiencing homelessness by expanding we call it our HEART team, which stands for Homeless Engagement, Assessment, and Response Team. Supporting our shelters with additional capacity in coordination with the county. Offering a robust job training initiative in partnership with a few regional nonprofits that also provide case management to address those unique needs. Developing an employment pipeline in partnership with public and private stakeholders. This is where you'll be hearing more from us in a moment. And also providing subsidized housing to individuals experiencing homelessness who enroll in the city's job training initiative. Our strategy meets people where they are, and from the moment that we meet them, we help them get into shelter. We will offer job training and help secure employment and housing. In other words, we are offering a road to self-sufficiency. Our staff has done a tremendous job putting all of this together, and I'd like to acknowledge the team that you're going to hear from today. And this is not by any means the end of our diligence in trying to solve this problem. It'll never be solved, but we will continue to address it the best we can with innovative ideas and creative solutions to meet these individual needs of those in our communities. And we also continue to collaborate with the county, the city, and the county can't solve this on our own. And that's why we're here talking with you, because it's going to take a community to help solve this problem. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kalua and the rest of our great team to walk through more of the details.
Good morning. As Joe mentioned, my name is Kalua Barnes. I'm one of the deputies here in Modesto, and want to give a little bit of a view of where we've been over the last year and a half before we talk about the program that we want to share with you today. Here you see a trajectory of what's referred to as the point-in-time count, and there's been a 15% increase over time in terms of the number of folks that are homeless in the county and in the city. In the city, there are 1,592 as of the last point-in-time count, and the majority of the 2,200 homeless individuals are actually residents of the city of Modesto. And we expect, especially with COVID, for this trajectory of increase of homelessness to actually continue. Some of what Joe mentioned in terms of our creativeness and with regard to solutions started with the opening of Beard Brook, which was just about a 9-month period where we allowed this park to be available so that individuals experiencing homelessness had a place to go, and that the police could then start focusing on improving the quality of life of other parts of the city. But this was a pretty bold move, and not many places have done it, but to actually dedicate a park. We saw this as an opportunity. Folks were centrally located, and we then moved to a more robust and intentional shelter with the Modesto Outdoor Emergency Shelter. Here at one point we had upwards of 500 individuals, but here we also had a major partnership with the wraparound of the county services at this location, and the ability for individuals to actually focus on their recovery and moving forward while they knew every night where they would be sleeping. So the court case was Martin B. Boise started this process. We've been really continuing to look at solutions. We went from this outdoor shelter in partnership with the county, the United Way, and the Community Foundation. And then we ultimately opened additional inside beds at the Salvation Army. And so I will actually defer now to Jessica, who will talk more about today's program, but really want to focus on a way forward based on what we know to be the problems.
Thanks, Kalua. So Kalua touched on some of the interim solutions that we implemented previously. But what this did was prompted us to think critically about the needs of our homeless community and the gaps in our current systems. A key gap we uncovered was not how we provide shelter and housing, but how we continue to move individuals through the housing continuum and to the road to self-sufficiency. As part of the CARES funding, the City of Modesto received $3.3 million allocation of funding to help combat homelessness. Traditionally, the city only receives $150,000 annually. Therefore, we challenged ourselves locally to come up with a creative solution and collaborate with public and private partnerships to help address the homelessness in our community. This led us to developing Camp to Home. Camp to Home is a comprehensive response to homelessness that includes moving the unsheltered individual into shelter, job training, employment, and eventually permanent housing. The first component of this is expanding our ability to outreach to our community and reach out to those individuals experiencing homelessness. We need to be out there to provide resources and give them opportunities to move into local shelters. We are doing this by expanding our homeless engagement assessment and response team, which many of you know is our HEART team. Our next step is, once the client is engaged, to support our low barrier shelter with additional capacity to ensure that those we engage with in the field have a bed that they can move into. Part of the items I wanted to concentrate on today is our robust job training program. So what we'll be doing is we're going to be partnering with our low barrier shelter and give individuals an opportunity who have employment as a goal to participate in a job training program in partnership with Downtown Streets Team. For those who don't know about Downtown Streets Team, it is a job training program that helps homeless individuals build job skills in exchange for stipends for their services. As part of this program, we'll be creating a new 25-member team and a more comprehensive program to ensure the individuals who participate will have a more well-rounded and supported approach to employment. The City of Modesto has created training modules among several departments, including Parks and Recreation, Solid Waste, Forestry, and our outreach team. Downtown Streets Team members will have quarterly assignments and training of each of these departments to help assist and expand their skill base to be more ready for employment. Downtown Streets Team has also created a robust curriculum, which includes trainings on topics like money management, resume development, interview workshops, and many more. As individuals move through this training program, Downtown Streets Team will work alongside them, and individuals will graduate and be ready for full-time employment. One of the most critical pieces of Camp to Home is moving those individuals who have graduated from the job training program to permanent employment. The vision requires government, nonprofits, businesses, and our faith-based community to commit to supporting our homeless community with offering full-time employment with a fair chance at restarting their lives to become self-sustainable. We currently have partnerships with Stanislaus County Workforce Development, Opportunity Stanislaus, United Way, and Stanislaus Community Foundation. Today, we are looking to build more public and private partnerships with businesses to join the City of Modesto in becoming a fair chance employer. What a fair chance employer means is, as you're looking and as you're hiring for your business, is to consider hiring a Downtown Streets Team graduate to be fully employed and move to that next step in self-sufficiency. The new employees would have the continued support of the Downtown Streets Team, case managers for 1 year post-employment. And our goal for the next year is to have 25 graduates of this job training team successfully employed. Our last component of this program is the permanent housing component. For those individuals who graduate from the job training program and successfully hired full-time, we're looking to move them out of the shelter to obtain permanent housing. The Downtown Streets Team will be assisting the newly employed individuals with an employment-based rental assistance program to find permanent housing, provide security deposits, and rental assistance for 1 year. We are looking for partnerships with local landlords to become a catalyst in this endeavor. The Downtown Streets Team will provide case managers and housing specialists to support tenants and landlords beyond the term of their housing subsidy. We hope that this model through Camp to Home will be a catalyst in providing a road and opportunity for the homeless individuals to move to self-sufficiency and to continue to support more individuals in perpetuity. Next up, I would like to introduce Interim Police Chief Brandon Gillespie, here to speak about how the City of Modesto has taken the first step in becoming a fair chance employer for the Downtown Streets Team graduates.
Good morning. As Jessica mentioned, my name is Brandon Gillespie, the Interim Police Chief of the Modesto Police Department. And the Modesto Police Department is excited to have taken the first step in being a fair chance employer. We regularly interact with the homeless population in our city and often are thought of as with the accountability piece and enforcement piece. And that is correct. That's a job that we do. But we also get to know these people and we interact with people that really want to exit this cycle of homelessness. And we wanted to do more for these people that really had the proactive mindset to get out of the situation they're in. So we looked around internally. We looked at positions. Of course, we have a lot of sworn positions, but we do have civilian positions as well. And we looked around to see if we had a position that we could help with our downtown streets graduates. And we found and identified 4 maintenance service aid positions that we thought would be a perfect fit and a stepping stone position for these downtown streets team graduates, moving them into permanent employment. So we worked with the city HR department to adjust some of our hiring requirements, understanding that a lot of these people have had challenging pasts, and we wanted to focus on what we could do to get these people employed. So we're excited to share with you that we were recently able to hire 4 formerly homeless individuals. It's Carrie, Bobby, Yvonne, and Carol, who are graduates of the Downtown Streets team as these 4 service maintenance aid workers. This group, which we call our abatement team, is supervised by our homeless engagement and response team, Sergeant Mike Hammond, who many of you know. And they work on abating trash and debris from public areas throughout our city. This is kind of a stepping stone. They do this also when they work for the Downtown Streets team. So it's familiar work. And now they're actually getting paid to do this. It's not easy work, and but they learn to, they earn an income. They learn how to work within a team. They work for a supervisor, complete tasks that are assigned, and develop the job skills, hopefully to use as a stepping stone to full-time employment and other job opportunities. These individuals work 29 hours a week, and we're excited to be a leader in this campaign as a fair chance employer that will assist these individuals in moving closer to self-sufficiency. So I'll now turn it over to Greg Pensinger to talk about the Downtown Streets team.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Greg Pensinger, and I'm the director of Downtown Streets team in the Modesto area. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for being here so early. You know, homelessness is a social and economic issue that requires a community solution. And so I wanted to thank you guys for being a part of that solution this morning. So Downtown Streets team, the most recognizable part of our program, you might have seen our team members out there in their yellow shirts cleaning up the community. And that's part of what we do. But through that meaningful daily activity, our team members build accountability, they develop a work ethic, they gain confidence, they experience positive peer pressure, and they develop a supportive social network among their peers. But DST is more about just picking up trash, even though our team members have collected over 200,000 pounds of trash from the streets, creeks, and parks of Modesto. But we also have very intensive case management services to make sure that that our team members, as they start to develop that confidence, start to become more goal-oriented, that they have strong support and resources from our organization. As a result, since launching in 2019 in Modesto, 29 of our team members have been able to successfully transition into permanent housing. And in total household members would be 40 people who have been able to exit the streets. In addition, 25 team members have transitioned into permanent employment. And as Jessica alluded to, we are committed to providing ongoing support post-graduation for our team members, not only to support our team members as they make that transition, but also to support our partners in the employment and housing realms as well. When we launched in Modesto in January of 2019, we were the 13th community to have adopted the Downtown Streets team model. And we did so in partnership with the City of Modesto, Stanislaus County, Workforce Development, the Community Foundation, and United Way of Stanislaus County. And those partnerships have just been so vital to our being able to have so much success in such a short amount of time. We currently serve and have capacity to serve 35 individuals, but the demand is much higher. In fact, we have 55 people currently on our wait list whom we don't have the capacity to serve at this time. Those are people who want to make a change in their lives, who have been in communication with us, who have gotten on our wait list and have remained patient. And unfortunately, we don't have the funding or the capacity to continue to serve them at this point. However, the new project that we've been talking about this morning, Camp to Home, is going to give us the ability to expand our team by 25 additional people and build in comprehensive resources such as employment, housing, job training, and job placement to create a logical path to self-sufficiency out of the shelters. As Chief Gillespie mentioned, the Modesto Police Department has stepped up to be the first fair chance employer in this campaign. And we're so grateful to him, and we hope that other employers in the Modesto area will be interested in joining that network and being part of the solution. I can speak all day about why I think our program is great. And if you email me or text me or call me, I'm happy to do so. But it's so much better when you hear it from our team members. And so I wanted to introduce Charles and Deanna, both of whom graduated from our program into permanent housing and employment. And Mike, first of all, thank you for putting this video together. And if you could please cue it up, I'd very much appreciate it.
My name is Deanna Farish. I was born in Redwood City, California, and I've lived in Modesto for 3 years. I suffered from a mental illness and I was untreated, and then I fell into drug addiction and I lost everything.
My name is Charles Parrish, and I'm born and raised in Modesto. I became homeless because I was driving a truck, and I've always been an addict for, I don't know, a lot of years. And so truck driving went with doing dope. So I started doing dope again, and then the dope just took over. I didn't go to work. I lost my job, and then became homeless.
Every day was a battle of, you know, running around chasing the shower shuttle so we could take a shower, or going to the different churches and different places where you get to get your free dinner. It consumed your time. Getting a job and getting your life together, you couldn't do it because you're too busy trying to run around and find a place to sleep the next night, holding on to all your stuff.
Survival is a very, very big part of being homeless. Ended up down at Moe's.
One day I just woke up and said, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be on drugs. I want my life back. I want a relationship with my kids. I just woke up, and he and I both together said, we're done with this. And we quit doing drugs together, cold turkey, in a tent at Moe's. And then we heard about DST. So there's where our hopes started.
Yeah.
So Downtown Streets team in Modesto launched in January of 2019. So as Deanna mentioned, we started out at Moe's. You know, we kind of launched simultaneously to that program, and we were able to engage with the people who were staying there, including Deanna and Charles. Charles mentioned earlier that our model is a volunteer work experience program, where homeless men and women, they volunteer to beautify the community. The work experience aspect is really meant to be a starting point, not labor intensive, but we're really trying to help people find, again, kind of that work ethic, you know, that accountability, that ability to work with others. But then what we find, and I often tell people this who don't have the confidence to go look for a job, I say, hey, if you could do DST as well as you're doing it, you could do a whole lot of other things. And then that might be the starting point for their employment journey as well. And so that's really what Downtown Streets team is meant to do. But our founder, who came from big tech, and so she built in case management when she realized, yeah, people are starting to get this foundation. They're starting to, get more confidence by being a contributing member of their community. Now let's add case management and support services to help them take it to the next level. And so that's when we started building in sort of the case management services. And so we really try to work intensively and individually with each person to figure out what their opportunities are, what their goals are, what their barriers are, and really try to get to know them on that level so that we can help them overcome it.
We went to DST and got on the waiting list. We were on the waiting list for 8 weeks, and we stayed clean the whole time. Every day for DST we go, and basically it's just go clean up trash around Modesto. They start with just building you up, let you know that you can do it. You can get, get this, get that, whatever, whether it's your birth certificate. I remember getting my social security card. I got my driver's license. I got my birth certificate. I got my teeth fixed. I now am getting ready to go to a court trial with my kids to get my kids back. all of that was DST pushing me or helping me, or however you want to put it, but they gave me a foundation, and I got to go from there. I kept doing it, stayed on the right path, and we ended up with a house and a car and job. Now we have jobs, and I never ever in a million years would have applied for a job at Burlington, but DST gave me that they helped me with my self-esteem. They helped me with my vital documents. And then when I went to go apply for a job, I had an ID, I had a social security card. I wouldn't have had that without DST helping me along. I guess that's really what helped us keep going was, there is hope out there. And I don't talk about God a lot, but if it wasn't for us finding God, I wouldn't be where I am today without that. That's my foundation for everything. And then next up from that foundation is DST, who really gave us that hope, and pushed us along. I definitely would want people to know that it is an opportunity to get yourself together, to get your life back. There's hope with Downtown Streets team.
So the question I'm guessing you're all asking after being so inspired by Deanna and Charles is, how can you help? How can you be a catalyst? We spent a lot of time this morning, and we hope we've communicated kind of an understanding that the issues of homelessness are not just about the folks who are on the streets who are choosing not to participate, but really for us to create a path for those people who are ready to come back. And so the City of Modesto, and with partners, has actually developed a comprehensive approach that looks at combining work with housing in a way that we think will really support people for the long term, and we're asking for your support there. So we're kind of using three buzzwords here that we hope you'll take away, and that is hiring, housing, and donating. And so we're going to walk through how you can actually be a partner in this with us. As Joe mentioned, the city can't do it alone, the county can't. It really does take all of us to work towards a solution to this problem. And so for starters, how to be a catalyst, you could hire someone from the Downtown Streets team. As these graduates come prepared, they've been doing the work of getting ready. They've got documents prepared and ready, and they'll be supported for a year after your hiring by the Downtown Streets team to provide kind of ongoing case management. So the Downtown Streets team is actually committed to that. And our goal for 2021 is to have 25 individuals secure employment. Greg mentioned that the team sizes are 25. So our goal is to create at least one more team in 2021 that will sustain this program going forward. And so a little bit later, we'll tell you how you can do that and give you Greg's contact information. But here's a huge way to be a catalyst, and that is to be part of the first, the Fair Chance Hiring Program, which we're gonna be developing, become a Fair Chance employer. The second way that you can be a catalyst is actually to provide housing. We find in this business that even when there are individuals with vouchers, for example, or individuals who are looking for an opportunity at housing, sometimes landlords have a bias. They don't welcome these individuals and make it more difficult for housing. So it's a critical barrier to homelessness in Modesto, and we're asking that if you, your friends, others are landlords or have properties that they want to consider making available for potential tenants whose backgrounds aren't clean and tidy, but really who want a path towards leaving homelessness. Our goal for housing in 2021 is to have 25 people secure housing. So 25 hired and 25 housed. And then finally, and these are not mutually exclusive, so one could find a path to contribute and be a catalyst through all of these means. You could donate to the Downtown Streets team. Those donations, it essentially takes about $450,000 per year to sustain one team of 25 for the duration. Those folks kind of come in and out depending on when job opportunities are available and when they're ready for the next step. But essentially $450,000 a year is what would allow us to continue this initiative into 2022. We have funding for this year, and we're planning to spend 2021 making this program sustainable by securing donations from members of the public, partners, and the like. And so we're hoping that you'll actually be a catalyst. And so with that, we've actually got a fair amount of time for questions here. I'll ask Sarah to read them, and then those from our team will come up based on the question and provide any responses that we're able to today. But we hope that you leave with the passion of helping solve the problem for those folks who are ready to no longer be homeless by hiring, housing, and donating. Thank you.
Kalua, this is actually Mike, and I'll read some of the questions here. We have a question that says, how would a person get connected with Downtown Streets team? Is that the first place a homeless person would start to begin this program of Camp to Home?
So Greg's going to take that one.
Good morning again. Yeah, so really the starting point for this program, this Camp to Home program that we're talking about, is the ACEs shelter. That's the Access Center Emergency Shelter, which is the new low barrier shelter in Modesto. This program is intended to be a service of that shelter to offer additional resource to the folks who are staying there. So for this program, with all the housing and employment built in, that's going to be a low barrier shelter. However, we also have our core team, and any one of our case managers, when we do outreach at ACEs or when we do outreach in the encampments, they can reach out to any of our staff and get on our wait list, and we can direct them and help them navigate to getting connected to our services. Yeah, and if you want to email me, I don't know if I still have screen sharing. Oh, it'll be there? Okay. But yeah, you're more than welcome to email me or call me for additional questions.
Thank you, Greg. And to everybody who's listening, please go ahead and write in your questions as you think of them. So the next question is, Doris asks, is there any type of assistance after home attainment or employment? What does that help look like?
Yeah, I think I'll just stay here. So not just because of this program, but in general, our case management philosophy is to support people for as long as they need it. I started my career in San Jose when I launched our team in 2011, and I still take phone calls and have conversations with the people that I supported back then. So our commitment is a lifetime commitment to all of our team members intensively. So we will have specialized staff, both to support folks in employment and in housing. And that means not only supporting our team members, but supporting our partners. So, we want to be in contact with the employer to help mitigate any concerns. Same thing with the landlord to make sure that folks are lease compliant and that, it's a smooth transaction for everybody involved.
Another question. So the donations that are given, are they tax deductible?
Of course they are, yes.
All right. Does everyone who graduates from the DST program transition into permanent housing?
That's the goal. So what we define a graduate is not just employment or not just housing, but both, or at least on the income level, some level of self-sufficiency if they're eligible for benefits. So the answer is yes, but if the question were, does everybody who participates in DST graduate into no? I mean, that would be very, very difficult. We do have people with challenges who sometimes it takes us a second and third shot to successfully move through our program. And part of our philosophy is being able to keep those doors open for people, even if they fail the first, second, or third time. So,
Greg, could you give us a quick background? Where did the model for the DST program come from?
Yeah, so we were actually founded in 2005 in downtown Palo Alto as a project of the Business Improvement District in that community. They were concerned about aggressive panhandling and the excessive litter that was building up on University Avenue. So they said, hey, why don't we empower these folks who are panhandling to help keep our community clean? And it was that simple idea to kill two birds with one stone, out of which this model was born. I kind of alluded to it in my earlier section. Eileen Richardson, who's our founder and CEO, she recognized that, yes, this in itself, this meaningful daily activity is empowering in and of itself, but we need to build in support. So over the years, we've evolved our model to include that intensive case management, both to help our folks achieve housing, employment, and other benefits. And I'll also add, since Palo Alto in 2005, our first expansion was to San Jose. That's when I launched, and now we're currently in 16 communities total throughout Northern and Central California.
Excellent. Greg, do you have an idea of what the retention percentage is, people who start and ultimately become permanently employed and off the streets?
Yeah, so I think since we've started, we've been able to serve about 90 unduplicated individuals. And the metrics are 29 housed and 25 employed. So that would give you kind of a retention ratio.
All right. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of other questions. Any other questions that are on your mind? Mr. Wright, were you asking a question there?
Yes. Hey, can you maybe have his website or information circulated where we can donate to the program? Maybe send out an email with the mailing address or whatever if you want to make some donations.
Yeah, I think Scotty's putting in my email address. I'd be more than happy to reply. You could also go to streetsteam.org /Modesto, and you'll get to our local page with a donation link there as well.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Anyway, the question I have is, do we have any idea of an estimation of how many of our county or city's homeless population fall into the don't want help category?
So as a service provider, I make it a point not to put anybody in that category, because I've personally seen transformations take place from people who might have been categorized as such and who have become successful when given the opportunity. So my perspective is going to be different from others. I don't know if anybody would want to take that.
Yes, to Greg's response, I would add that it's actually shown in this business that the more contacts that are made with the person who's homeless and the greater the level of trust, over time, the folks who say no early on might well say yes 6 months later after 10 or 15 asks. So we just continue to engage. The police department's team are familiar with many of the individuals. And finally, it kind of tilts over in the example in the video, where someone finally gets tired and they said no, no, no until they said yes. And so what we want to do is, when they're ready to say yes, to be able to support them in moving forward.
Wonderful. All right. I don't know, we're doing this silently, but can you just thank this panel, this team, for presenting this morning and all the hard work that this morning's presentation just represents?
Well, thanks, Joe and team, for your leadership. I just was thinking over the last couple of weeks as we were preparing, and Mike and his team was preparing for this time, that in the midst of all the distractions, COVID, just the weariness of people, the pain, the suffering of people, you all have led through this time. I respect leaders, and I want to be this kind of leader too, that in spite of their own challenges, in spite of all the obstacles, they continue to lead well. And I want to thank you for that work. Even though we see the homeless around us, at times, so many of us, and I'll add myself, have been so caught up in my own mess that I forget that others are struggling even more than me. And so I want to thank you for your leadership, leaders leading in spite of the difficulty and the complexity of the work. So I want to thank you for that. And I do want us all, again, to be cautioned about throwing cheap answers at this thing. I'm not talking to the government as much as those of us in the community that are very quick to give everybody a 3-point outline about, boy, if they just did it my way. I joke with my friends that we sit in restaurants and we get a couple of old guys together and we solve all the problems of the world in about 5 minutes, and we make fun of each other and laugh about it. But I want to thank you, Joe and team, for the work that you guys are doing. I trust you. I've known you all for a while, and I hope I'm confident you're going to stay with us for a while. There are 4 pieces of this plan that the city has said to us this morning: transitional housing, robust job training permanent employment and permanent housing. And there are some pieces there that the community surely can be a part of. I want to say that the government surely has their part, and the truth of it is as well, the community, we have our part to play in all of this as well. We have an obligation as human beings to each other. There's been a lot of talk about rights, and I have this right and I have that right, and I have not heard as much as I'd like to hear about the obligation that I have to other human beings, and we have to each other corporately as a community as well. We have some obligations to our most vulnerable neighbors, those around us. We have those obligations as human beings. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, because there's so many of you in this room that are going after and loving your sector, and you have been assigned to care for so many that are struggling, so many that are hurting. And of course, you know, we have an amazing community of people who give and serve and sacrifice. City Minister Network, our commitment starting in just already in this year in 2021, and Lord willing, if we can continue, we want to do a couple of things to address this particular issue, and we're going to be committed to it. And it's being recorded, so I've got to hang on to this and make sure it happens. We've talked about what does City Minister Network have in our hand, what are our resources, and what do we have in our heart? What's our passion? What is our intent? And here's what we want to do. Here's some things we want to do moving forward, and we've already started the process. Working with the city, working with the county, and working with 3 different credit unions. We want to be the connectors to connect their resources, their plans with some of the needs of the community in this area. So here's what we've been working on. First of all is workforce housing. We were partners with the county, with the city, to connect to working families into new homes. And you know, that is really difficult in this season in California. So and if things continue, we'll be able to connect them with another 25 homes that'll be coming up soon over the next year, and finding families to move into those homes. These are workforce housing, not transitional housing. So these are mom and pops like my mom and dad who worked to save. You know, my mom and dad got in their home for $10,000, and their monthly payment was just a little bit over $100 a month. And so they had a pathway to the American promise. And we're confident as City Minister Network that a pathway to getting that American promise and owning that for my own family and my own children is through home ownership. So we'll be working on workforce housing alongside with the county and the city and credit unions. We'll have we're working with them with a first-time buyer program. And regarding transitional housing with the county and the city, we've already identified over 100 churches who have empty lots or empty space or unused space on their properties. And we're already in conversation with a handful of them as a pilot program to put transitional housing on their properties. And again, working through the details, the church and the county would work together to support these families with wraparound services. So we already are working, well, I can tell you, we're in conversation with 5 churches now. No commitments are made yet, but the idea is for churches with empty lots, empty spaces, to put in these transitional housing for families, for individuals, for young people who might need some housing. So church partnerships. And then finally, business incubator. We are intentional. We just hired a young woman who is just amazing, Lady Monica, who will be working with us on our business incubator. And so we'll be working with the county, with the city, with credit unions, with those in banks, and beginning to put together a business incubator for this constituency and those others who are entrepreneurs who are amazing at starting their own little mom and pops. And you see them all over town, but they need coaching, they need sustainability, they need encouragement, they need continued training. And we're going to partner with others to do that as well. So those are the intentional things that we want to do in the name of Jesus for these men and women in our community, not just homeless, but those that might be struggling financially, low income families that they've worked their tail off, like my mom and dad worked in the canneries all their life to make a better life for us children. And we want to help those mom and pops to do the same thing too. Want to encourage you with your sector. You all have resources and what do you have in your heart, your passion and your intent. And I want to encourage you, not just for yourself, but those around you, to encourage them, get together and let's work together to address these complex situations and these complex challenges. It is not going to get any easier. I look forward. I know Doug and Sue are in the room this morning, whoever wins the mayor. Together, we're going to jump in there, all of us, and do the best we can in lifting up our community together. And so thank you, team, for all your work on it. Joe, you know, I'm proud of you, and I think the world of you, and Edgar Garcia and the others that are in the room, Scotty, Kalua, and Brian. I'm glad that you're the interim, and look forward to seeing you out in the streets as well. Because of this time, we never want to keep these things to ourselves. And so I want to encourage you over the next week or so, even the next month, to take a time to go talk to somebody, share coffee, talk over the plan that the city is proposing here, and not just proposing, putting together the transitional housing, robust job training, permanent employment, permanent housing, sharing the ideas with them. And I'll give you the street team a website here in a minute if you want to donate there as well. But to begin sharing, and how can we work together and encourage and partner here as well. So schedule somebody just to have some coffee, and not just about this issue, but also about encouragement. You know, there are a lot of people that are weary and tired and just need some encouragement, or maybe just need some wisdom. And you might need some wisdom and some encouragement. I want to encourage you just to say, hey, can we talk? I had somebody text me yesterday morning, can we just talk? And this person just needed to have a listening ear. So I want to encourage you to look around, encourage somebody. And if you need encouragement as well, please speak up. You are not alone. I want to encourage you with that. And just like everybody else probably in the room, we are our own 501c3. So if you'd like to invest in City Ministry Network, I want to encourage you to do that. You can go to our website and push the donate button there and to give. And as the street team leader mentioned, Greg, streetsteam.org/Modesto, and it is in the chat. I want to encourage you to give. It's a great organization, and they're doing super work. And I'm really excited for them to be in our city, and they've been here for a few years. And if you again have in your hand, in your heart, to give to them or to City Ministry Network, please make sure that you do that, and it'll be encouraging to them. Next month, our topic was City Ministry Network, and we surely are going to have Dave with us, is vision and exhaustion. How do you lead in a season, that's right of the picture, the season of we're all tired, we're all weary, we're all sick of Zoom calls, and yet how do we look into the future, not just for ourselves, but paint a preferable picture of the future for those that are walking alongside us. And so it'll be an encouraging time, and surely we need some courage and just some enlightenment during this time. So I think the world of David, and he'll be with us next week. So next month. Thank you. I'm going to pray for us. Thank God for us. You can stick around and joke with each other or tease when we're done here. But I want to thank you so much for getting up in the morning and being a part with us. This has been a year of Zoom calls, and I've talked to leaders all the time, and we're just so tired of them. And yet there's something that happens when we're together, because we surely were built as human beings, and we've discovered this big time that we need each other, and we are a communal animal. So let me pray for us. Master, there are people in this room who need to be encouraged. Give them courage through your own conversation with them, or even now through a text, through a phone call, through a word of encouragement. May they get that. Thank you for the work that Joe and his team has been working on this, for Greg and his street team's work. Pray, Lord, that these 1,500 people that are walking the streets or living in temporary housing, they're struggling, that they would all, Lord, desire to escape or get out, or whatever the word would be, into a better life that they surely would surely want if they knew it was there. And Lord, give me patience, and give us patience as well as and empathy. There, by the grace of God, surely go I with some of those that I walk by downtown and other places. If it wasn't for loved ones, if it wasn't for turning left instead of turning right or making decisions. Lord, I would be just like one of them. And so may we walk with empathy rather than criticism or disdain. Thank you, Lord, and give an encouraging day to the men and women here. Thanks for Joe, Kaula, Scotty, Edgar, and the others, Brian, who've presented today, Greg. Encourage them. It's been rough being a government leader, a government civil servant over the last year, and surely over the last few days. Would you encourage them? In Christ's name, amen. Have a good morning.